What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Football Over Analysis. Today we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens, their fantasy relevant players, and whether or not we are targeting or fading them in our drafts this summer. With Lamar Jackson, Jackson is not a target for me, and I've got several reasons why, but first I'll give you the positive case for Jackson. Obviously, we know Jackson is someone that has QB1 overall within his range of outcomes. Jackson also gets a new offensive coordinator this year, Declan Doyle coming over from the Bears, a Ben Johnson disciple that will bring a lot of fresh ideas to the offense. And Jackson, we know that the talent's through the roof, everything you want in a fantasy quarterback, runs the ball in such an electric way, but there's still several reasons that I'm fading him for the coming year. The first issue that I have with Jackson is cost. It's going to cost at least a fourth or a fifth round pick to get him in most 12-team leagues. And the problem with spending such a high pick at the quarterback position is you're drafting them at their ceiling. And if something goes wrong and they don't hit that ceiling and they don't finish top 5 at the position, then you're not getting the advantage that you think you're getting on paper with that pick. And unlike, say, Josh Allen, who has consistently finished as QB1 or QB2 year after year after year, Lamar Jackson has been a little more of a roller coaster. He's 3 of the last 5 years, Jackson has not even been a top 5 quarterback, but he's 3 of the last 5 years, he's been a QB2. And he's had trouble staying healthy. 3 of the last 5 years, he's played 13 games or less. And he doesn't have prolific passing numbers. He's a guy that only twice in his career has he gone over 3,500 yards and 25 touchdowns. The Ravens really haven't done that great of a job of providing him with the skill position players that he needs to achieve those high-end passing numbers. So he's heavily reliant on the rushing. And as he gets older, he's now entering his age 29 season, it gets harder and harder for guys to keep taking that NFL pounding. And given that we've already seen some issues for Jackson staying healthy over the last 5 years, to me, I just think there's not enough safety in investing such a high pick at Jackson. At running back, Derrick Henry just continues to be one of the safest picks that you can make in all of fantasy. Even though he's 32, the man still just continues to churn out these 1,500-yard, 15-touchdown seasons. And even though last year there were times where it looked like we were beginning to see a little bit of decline, Henry is still one of the best running backs in football and a guy that you can count on to produce for you in your fantasy lineups. And the best part about Henry is the price tag really isn't bad at all. You can get him anywhere from mid-third round to early fourth in most drafts, and there's a lot of builds that you can do where he comes out as your RB2, which is just fantastic. Imagine starting the top of your draft with a Bijan, a Gibbs, a James Cook, and then sliding in a guy like Derrick Henry as your RB2, where we saw last year in Week 17, Henry on any given week can still have these 50-point eruption spots that just completely swing games for you. And to get that in the 3rd or 4th round, I mean, you know he's still going to be attached to a great offense, and he's just been money ever since he went to Baltimore. Zay Flowers is still the wide receiver 1 for the Ravens. Flowers coming off of his best year as a pro in his 3rd year, and a lot of people think he can take another step forward under Declan Doyle. My question with Flowers, though, is whether or not he's ever going to be featured in the red zone, and if the answer to that is no, I don't see how he can be a wide receiver 1. And the red zone for the Ravens, I still think, largely belongs to Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews. Flowers, if he's going to struggle to get to even 5 touchdowns, then he's going to need to see a big spike in volume for him to have a chance at competing with the other wide receiver 1s. And even just a 100-catch season, I don't think would be enough. I think he'd at minimum have to catch 125 to 140 balls to really be on the high end that some people are projecting. So Flowers for me is just not going to be a target. The rest of the Ravens receivers I have very minimal interest in. Rashad Bateman is not someone we need to touch Bateman every year gets some kind of training camp hype and then just does absolutely nothing in the regular season. The two rookies are interesting, Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt, and those are guys that we're going to have to keep an eye on through training camp and see if either one of them is able to separate and get themselves into any kind of regular role. But these guys don't necessarily need to be priorities in redraft. Like I said, they're more dynasty plays at this point. At tight end, Mark Andrews is someone that I'm not necessarily targeting, but I wouldn't mind him as part of a two tight end, late tight end build. Andrews is someone that we've seen run hot with touchdowns in the past, and I actually think there's a chance that he could be the one Raven that maybe benefits the most from the addition of Declan Doyle at offensive coordinator. Andrews obviously is someone that's commanded a red zone role for the Ravens throughout his career, and he's someone that Lamar Jackson has a lot of trust in. And the team did just give him that contract extension despite him showing some obvious signs of decline in the last few years instead of keeping the younger Isaiah Likely. So they are still very much committed to Andrews at the tight end position. That's going to do it for this one, guys. I thank you guys so much for watching, and we will talk to you next time when we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers.